Coming up on AgweekTV TV, a Danish company is coming to Minnesota to turn manure into energy. 5 friends open a new business in their North Dakota hometown to take the stress out of butchering. Small growers are getting a boost from the University of Minnesota to take their business to the next level. And we'll meet a farmer who stays out of the red with vintage red. Welcome to AgweekTV TV. I'm Emily Beal. A company from Denmark that harvests energy from manure and food waste is bringing its high-tech system to Minnesota. Jeff Beach is here now to tell us more about it.
Nature Energy takes manure from dairy and other livestock producers and turns the methane from that manure into natural gas. Then they give that manure back to farmers to use as fertilizer.
I want to remove the manure, and I want to turn that manure into value.
As CEO of Nature Energy's North American division, Alexis Glick wants to give farmers better soil health by turning their manure into energy and greener fertilizer. The natural gas produced can be sold to heat homes or for other uses. What goes back to the farmer is a better manure with the levels of nutrients balanced to suit what their farmland needs.
If we can figure out how to turn it into value, and not just value but energy, and then not just energy but increasing yield on farm and half a dozen other things that we won't even talk about yet, but which we are studying. Wow, this will be like nothing we've ever seen in our lifetime.
Glick says that in Denmark, the process has increased yields by as much as 30%. She says the company chose Minnesota as a place to start in the U.S. because of its rich ag heritage and, of course, the cows.
We're helping them deal with those regulatory constraints, those climate concerns, helping them become Scope 3 compliant when they're dealing with larger businesses, and helping them reduce on-farm costs.
The first 2 communities where Nature Energy will set up are Benson in central Minnesota and Wilson in the southeast corner.
I think we have a partnership that is going to be very beneficial to our community.
Benson's Mayor Terry Collins says the project will fit perfectly in this ag community. She was part of a group that visited the company's headquarters in Denmark to make sure it would be a good addition. In Benson, they're using a plant that formerly turned turkey manure into energy.
We wanted to make sure it wasn't a facility that was going to have an odor, that it would have employees, that it would fill our void from another company that had left a few years ago. And I was beyond impressed.
Glick says demand for this type of facility is great and urgent in reducing greenhouse gases.
Who we are, what we can do, and how we can solve the problem has never been more important.
Nature Energy hopes to break ground on the Benson plant in the middle of 2023 and be delivering energy, soil health, and other products by 2024. The company also plans a 3rd location in Wisconsin, across the St. Croix River from Minnesota.
Thanks for that interesting story, Jeff. Farmland value increased dramatically from 2021 to 2022, but at the same time, rents didn't. And experts say expect that to change over the winter. Ag finance specialist Brian Parman says he still sees land prices trending up, but perhaps not as steeply as in the past. And he expects a much higher increase in the rental rate as land rent negotiations heat up after harvest. Last year, fertilizer prices were rising, and Parman says landlords were reluctant to raise rents on farmers facing a lot of uncertainty.
Now we've seen commodity prices stay elevated. We've figured out that even in this environment that the shortages aren't necessarily as big a concern as we thought that they were. And the yields have stayed strong this last year, that perhaps landlords would be more willing to raise rents this year and tenants would be more willing to pay them.
Parman says most rental agreements continue to be a fixed cash deal, but there is growth in flexible leases. In that case, a landlord may get a bonus based on commodity prices or yields. The quality and quantity of the North Dakota hard red spring wheat and durum crops are good this year. The hard red spring wheat crop was disease-free and will be a good crop to market, according to the North Dakota Wheat Commission. Growing conditions in North Dakota and Minnesota were good, but much of South Dakota and Montana were dry from spring planting until August. The number of acres planted in the Northern Plains and Montana in 2022 decreased by 5% because of cold, wet weather in the spring. Although farmers planted fewer acres this year than last, the harvested acres were up, as farmers abandoned acres in 2021 because of the drought. November is usually when the cows come home, and we caught up with one rancher wrapping up the annual job. Wallace Knock has a crop and livestock farm near Willow Lake, South Dakota. He has about 175 cow-calf pairs. They usually keep the calves in background feed and sell the steer calves in January and the heifer calves in April. Knox started to bring cattle home in October, earlier than usual, because he had no rain in August or September, so pastures were becoming depleted. But because it was so wet a year ago, he did get adequate feed for the winter, thanks to several acres of prevent plant.
So consequently, a lot of those acres got seeded to either millet or some kind of feed, and we baled that up during the course of the summer. So that was one source of feed that we probably normally wouldn't have had.
The Knocks also have a flock of ewes. Inflation in the cost of new farm equipment is a common complaint of farmers today. But Leroy Helbling stays in the black by farming with decades-old equipment that's red. Nickel Pates gives you a look in this week's AgWeek cover story.
Emily, here's a fellow who likes his farm equipment red and from the 60s, 70s, and 80s.
A lot of it is 78 and 78 model equipment.
Leroy and Rosemary Helbling raise corn, oats, and alfalfa to feed their cattle, all using what most would consider vintage, even collectible IH machinery. Some of this equipment was already considered old when Helbling started farming full-time in 1980, but he still finds it preferable to new.
Economical to run, easy to work on, no computers of any kind, of course, because it's 1978 and older.
He knows his job might be easier with some of the modern precision ag equipment, but he reckons his machinery costs for putting in a crop are about a third of what they'd be with today's equipment.
I feel it's better for the bottom line, I'm not a big operation, so I take the time and fix it and keep it going. So I don't need a combine with a 40-foot header.
Helbling says he doesn't have much trouble getting parts. Most comes from dealers or jobbers, sometimes salvage yards.
They're faded and what, but you bring them home and clean them up a little bit, put them on.
In addition to the farm machinery, Helbling has 5 international pickups, 7 farm trucks, and even a couple of early 1950s International Harvester household refrigerators, all in running order.
Still works like new yet, chills real good.
He also has a collection of international toy equipment, and to top it all off, he even has some international clothing.
International gloves and suspenders and international cap.
IH never made long johns or anything, did they?
Yeah, they did. Mine are all wore out.
While farmers are concerned about the rising price of inputs and inflation, there are ways around it. For AgWeek, this is Mikkel Pates at Mandan, North Dakota.
You can read much more in the next AgWeek magazine or at agweek.com. Coming up, 5 friends take butchering to the next level in their hometown.
Small or large, Superior Grain Equipment has a storage solution for you with a wide variety of bin options and accessories, along with site planning and superior customer service. Plus, from top to bottom, we offer the industry's best bins and warranties to protect your products and your grain storage investment. Get superior quality, protection, and reliability with generations of experience and dependability. Make the superior choice today with Superior Grain Equipment.
All right, here's the free gift I got for opening up a checking account. Let's see what I got.
Okay guys, so I got this portable DVD player.
Yeah, I'm not sure why my bank would give me a tiny waffle maker.
So it's a tumbler, but it doesn't fit in any of my cup holders.
I wasn't even sure they still made these.
Is it for kids? Is this for kids?
Don't fall for the free gift. Find a bank that cares about what you really need. Cornerstone Bank.
Dynaflow is the ultimate high-volume water management pump. Whether you're experiencing flooding, emptying sloughs, transferring ponds, or working on irrigation, the Dynaflow pump works in as little as 18 inches of water and is designed to move 3,000 gallons per minute. The Dynaflow lift pump is the perfect upgrade to your drain tile system. Using line shaft turbine pump technology, these pumps are made to last while operating efficiently. Dynaflow drain tile pumps can move up to 1,500 gallons per minute, up to 3,400 feet away.
I'm Peter Bosch. I've been working with Gateway Building Systems for a little over 20 years now. I chose Gateway Building Systems to build my shop because I wanted a building that could both be used for my equipment and as a place for my family to hang out and do things. I would advise anybody that's thinking about working with Gateway to go in and talk to the guys there, tell them your plans and your future dreams, and let them design something for you.
For AgWeek, this is Mikkel Pates at Watertown, South Dakota.
We'll look at the positive impacts that dairy can have on the community.
A Minnesota couple has put a grain bin to a new use. Spoiler alert, it's not grain.
This elaborate system of tubing with the downhill slope is how Maplewood State Park gathers sap to make syrup.
Thanks for watching AgWeek TV. Remember, for all your ag news, go to agweek.com and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can expect to pay more for your Thanksgiving turkey and other holiday meal staples this month. The uptick in prices comes from both avian influenza and inflation. The USDA says more than 46 million birds in 40 states died from the disease since February. 8 million of them turkeys. U.S. Ag Secretary Tom Vilsack warns that some of the turkeys being raised right now for Thanksgiving may not have enough time to get to the 20 pounds that many people want for their holiday turkey. It's the time of year we think about feasting. And the annual Feast Food Show in Rochester, Minnesota had lots of feasting ideas. But what makes it different from other food shows is that Feast requires sellers to source from local farms as much as possible. Show organizer Brett Olson says events like this are important for sellers to get their products in front of people, but he'd like to see more of them get into wholesaling. The University of Minnesota is working with small growers on a program called Wholesale Readiness.
The real profitability comes in that wholesale market. Wholesale doesn't mean you take half the price so that retail can mark it up. A lot of times it's very similar to the price at a farmer's market, but you're selling in pallet loads or totes, and so you can move a lot more for fewer hours.
The two main organizations putting on the show are the Southern Minnesota Initiative Foundation and the Minnesota Department of Ag. 5 friends with roots in ag have come together to offer a stress-free butcher experience for ranchers. I visited Butcher's Edge in Edgeley, North Dakota, where they're taking the hassle out of going to the butcher.
Just one morning while having coffee on Main Street in Edgeley, we started talking about the idea of maybe someday putting together a plant.
Brothers Jay and Grant Mathern and their friends Garrett Irie, Tim Mock, and Mike Schlosser saw the demand for a place to butcher livestock in their community. So they opened Butcher's Edge in June of 2022. The USDA-inspected facility can process up to 20 cattle a week.
If there wasn't agriculture here, there'd be nothing, right? And there's a lot of cattle in this area.
The 5 all have deep roots in the ag industry, working in insurance, farming, and raising cattle. Their knowledge of the industry gave them an inside look at what customers want when they drop off their livestock. While they work with cattle mostly, they also butcher lamb, hogs, and wild game, such as deer.
Being a cattle person, we know how people want their animals treated as they're coming off the trailer, as they're coming into your facility. I don't like hot shots. A lot of people don't like to see that stuff. So we try to treat these cattle as humane as possible and as comfortable as possible.
Ranchers can drive in, unload their cattle, and drive out with ease. This system makes the unloading process less stressful on ranchers and their livestock.
We had a pretty good idea, I guess, just talking with people what their pains were. A lot of it was to do with that it took so long to get cattle in. And that was our biggest clue that, this is a need for ranchers around here.
Butcher's Edge has a storefront where customers can come in and buy fresh and local cuts of meat. Ahead on AgWeek TV, we'll take you to a greenhouse that grows tomatoes all year round.
There's no easy button, no guarantees, or promises of a good year. This is farming. It's unpredictable and demanding, with long days and sometimes stressful nights. It's weathering the storms and coming out successful. Farming isn't for everyone. We thank those who make it their life, because it is for everyone.
Farmers and ag dealers, join us for the NDAA Northern Ag Expo at the Fargo Dome, November 29th and 30th. Hear timely seminar speakers and enjoy a floor filled with crop production and service exhibits. The Northern Ag Expo, November 29th and 30th at the Fargo Dome. We'll see you there.
The team at North Star Ag is committed to quality and committed to you. We're not just a full-service dealer, we're farmers too, so we know you need the best machinery and services that'll keep you going all season long. We have the largest equipment inventory in the upper Midwest with a well-equipped parts and service department. So whether you need machinery tomorrow or parts today, stop in and experience what North Star Ag can offer on our website at northstar-ag.com or give us a call at 701-361-4790.
Every season has an end. After spending your whole life building something, it can be hard to move on to your next stage in life. But when that time comes, you deserve to have someone you trust guide you through the process. And by trusting us to pass on your legacy, it gives someone else the chance to create their own. Every auction has a story. Let us share yours.
You can get the field results you want in varying conditions with the flexibility of the Summers VRT Renegade. Featuring on-the-fly blade angle adjustment from 0 to 19 degrees. And if you want the simplicity of a Super Coulter with the ability to move a little dirt, you'll love the all-new Summers Super Coulter Samurai. Go to summersmfg.com or visit your local dealer to learn more about North America's broadest line of tillage equipment and other products from North Dakota-based Summers Manufacturing.
Are the cold temps and lingering frost here to stay? Here's John with our AgriWeather Outlook.
The first significant winter storm of the cold weather season this year has rolled through at least the northern plains region, and it has brought with it snow that is likely to linger and some fairly cold temperatures. So I think winter, at least for the very northernmost part of the Great Plains, has arrived. We have snow cover, and the cold is likely to linger. This weather pattern has impacts on much of the rest of the United States, especially the middle part, and the air that comes down with Arctic air, which this is early season Arctic air, at least that's its source. It tends to be cold and it tends to be dry, so we're not looking at a lot of rainy weather. Now, of course, the jet stream pattern ridging along the west coast, troughing as we start out the week, so there will be some areas of light snow and flurries in the northern plains, southern Canada, but it doesn't look particularly stormy. The dark blue is near or sub-freezing high temperatures. It's the pink stuff that we're talking below zero, and you'll notice that'll stay up north. But pretty cool weather has dropped down into much of the central United States, and it's actually going south. Now, in this particular configuration, strong ridge west, low pressure trough over much of the United States, that's going to deliver cold weather pretty far south. But this is early season cold. So I'm not talking about any unusual frosts or freezes in the deep south or anything like that. Just going to get a little bit chillier, and it looks like it will remain fairly warm down over South Florida. Over the southwest, the usual places will remain quite warm, but fairly cold weather for the middle part of November will likely linger with it, especially those areas that have snow on the ground, not likely to get above freezing. And even those peripheral areas down in South Dakota, southern Minnesota that escaped most of the significant snow, temperatures will mostly be no better than about the mid to maybe a stray upper 30 temperature. So this week will be fairly cold. As we slip into the next week, not a lot of change in the pattern. There may be a temporary warm up for some parts of this area. This will be just around the time of Thanksgiving, but it looks like at the end of the period, the cold weather will likely sag southward once again. In other words, whatever snow you have on the next couple of weeks is likely to still be on the ground at about Thanksgiving time. Now, the really cold weather will be knocking on the door by the end of the month. It remains to be seen if that will make its first intrusion south of the U.S.-Canadian border. But South Florida will still remain warm. South Texas, Southern California, Southern Arizona, those areas will have weather like you would expect. This is just the first phase of cold weather into the north. Precipitation-wise, the last of the storms in this southwest and northeast pattern will deliver some rain and maybe a little bit of snow. And through the eastern United States, northern plains area, just flurries and light snow. The mountains will get some snow. The second week of this period, which is Thanksgiving week, at this point in time, looks fairly non-stormy for the middle section of the country. In fact, for most of the country, at this point, it looks like Thanksgiving pretty dry.
Hamilton System Inc. in Drayton, North Dakota is the North American distributor of the Fantini corn and sunflower header. Both the L03 corn head and the G03 sunflower head have a simple, high-efficiency, low-maintenance PTO-driven gearbox, which eliminates slippage and power loss even in the most trying conditions. These heads are built with a solid one-piece frame and tubular steel construction that will withstand the harshest field conditions. Available in models from 4 to 18 rows, they adapt to any combine and come with a 4-year warranty on the transmission units.
Risk management is not just for the grains. Livestock producers, did you know you too can protect the price for your production? Livestock Risk Protection, or LRP for short, is a great tool to help you protect the price of your calves. Cattle producers can also protect their pasture and hayland from lack of rainfall with Pasture Rangeland Forage, or PRF insurance. This is a very affordable way to help producers in times of below average rainfall. Call the Risk Management Specialist, Martinson Ag Risk Management.
The passion to make this season better than the last. Since the beginning, it's been our goal too. From our pipeline of groundbreaking traits to new technologies, ours is a story of innovation and a proven track record that's pushed performance and the industry farther than many thought was possible. But there's still work to be done and yields to chase. Because as you know all too well, success doesn't come to those who wait.
Saline can leave certain parts of a field unproductive, so North Dakota farmer Brad Kellerman was excited to try the product and see his soils come back to life.
I really like the properties that it displays, and I'm going to keep working with it to try and improve the overall soil health, because if the soil health is not good, I don't think the crop is going to be good either.
Kellerman has been pleased with the results of his soil since beginning to use calcine.
So I don't believe there's anything on the market that I've seen like calcine that works in the soil the way it does.
Satellite imagery, we looked at it, you can see exactly where the calcine was. We have more growth in those areas.
Gary Wagner farms in northwest Minnesota on a variety of different soil types. He says calcine has helped his acres thrive and plans to continue to use calcine in the future.
We're becoming a believer.
"60 miles northeast of Grand Forks, North Dakota, you'll find Meadowlark Garden. They grow tomatoes in a 4,300 square foot greenhouse for local restaurants and grocery stores almost all year. Katie Pinky gives you a tour in this story from the AgWeek Vault.
And we have bees. There's a bee for pollinating.
It all started when Dennis Lowen, his wife and family returned to the U.S. after 25 years of farming in Brazil.
They're very friendly, very nice people.
They wanted to start a business, so they bought this greenhouse from a relative.
I think of it as a good retirement job.
Did you have experience with greenhouses?
No.
And so why did you decide to go the greenhouse route in northeast and North Dakota?
I enjoy working with plants. It's intriguing. It's challenging to know what all the nutrients that a plant needs and to keep it healthy and balanced with fruit and leaves.
The process starts around the first of the year when the plants are seeded. Meadowlark gets them in mid-February when they are planted in the greenhouse.
They're just grown in that little bag, not in the soil. Put that little drip tube in there. We set that on the bag, and that's how we plant them.
The first tomatoes are ready to pick and deliver in late April. These indeterminate plants continue to produce until December.
That means the plant keeps growing and it keeps blossoming. If you see up top, there's blossoms. And then there's smaller tomatoes, and then the bigger ones and the ripe ones are, and when it gets to the top, we lower that.
As you can imagine, heat is their biggest expense in this climate.
These pipes, the carts roll on there, plus there were hot water and overhead radiators.
They grow several varieties, with beefsteak being the most popular. And the secret to their success? Lowen says it's the difference between tomatoes being picked green and shipped a long distance, or vine ripened, picked fresh.
It's picked today and you can have it for lunch. That's the quality. That I have no other secrets.
At Park River, North Dakota, this is Katie Pinky for AgWeek.
They also grow microgreens, which they supply to high-end restaurants. Still ahead, the Great Plains Food Bank gets a healthy donation just in time for holiday meals.
Dynaflow is the ultimate high-volume water management pump. Whether you're experiencing flooding, emptying sloughs, transferring ponds, or working on irrigation, the Dynaflow pump works in as little as 18 inches of water and is designed to move 3,000 gallons per minute. The Dynaflow lift pump is the perfect upgrade to your drain tile system. Using line shaft turbine pump technology, these pumps are made to last while operating efficiently. Dynaflow drain tile pumps can move up to 1,500 gallons per minute, up to 3,400 feet away.
Don't miss out on the equipment you'll need next season. Titan Machinery, your local Case IH dealer, has early order discounts on its full line of powerful, efficient, new Case IH equipment, including tractors, combines, and self-propelled sprayers. Get a great deal and ensure that you have the latest in productivity and technology. Supply chains are tight. Contact your Titan Machinery dealership today and find out how much you can save by ordering ahead. Titan Machinery, your local Case IH equipment experts.
The passion to make this season better than the last. Since the beginning, it's been our goal too. From our pipeline of groundbreaking traits to new technologies, ours is a story of innovation and a proven track record that's pushed performance and the industry farther than many thought was possible. But there's still work to be done and yields to chase. Because as you know all too well, success doesn't come to those who wait.
Grain Handling Direct presents How to Purchase Grain Storage Solutions in Your Bathrobe. First, go to grainhandlingdirect.com. Browse our products, check prices, and add your selection to a cart. You can place your order online or call our customer service reps with any questions. We'll route your order to the manufacturer and ship it directly to your front door. grainhandlingdirect.com. Direct and simple to save you money.
Why I ultimately choose them is they handled everything from the site prep, the dirt work, the gravel. The electricians were all excellent and they're very knowledgeable in the dryer setups themselves. They made sure that they designed me a system that was expandable years into the future. It was a long-term encompassing project, and that's what I appreciate about their knowledge. I'm Ethan Hansen from Blanchard, North Dakota, and I would definitely recommend Advanced Grain for all your grain storage handling needs.
A local dairy has donated a highly sought-after item to the Great Plains Food Bank. Cass Clay Creamery donated 24,000 cartons of the Giving Cow, a shelf-stable milk. The 8-ounce cartons have a shelf life of a year, as opposed to fresh milk being good up to 20 days. The milk will help make healthier meals.
This can help enrich like a full meal. So we can also give them, we try to give every client or neighbor a full meal, the best that we can. And so having this type of product will be able to be another staple in that meal that we can provide for them.
The milk will be distributed to 100 communities just in time for the holidays, which Great Plains says is when donations are needed the most. Stories you'll only see on AgWeek.com and in AgWeek magazine this week. An ag lobbyist says conservation, climate policy, and the changing face of ag committees will shape upcoming Farm Bill discussions. And Summit Carbon Solutions and a farmer have sued 2 South Dakota counties as the company pushes ahead with its plans for a carbon capture pipeline. We appreciate you watching AgWeek TV. Remember to check us out daily on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok to keep up on all your ag news. Have a great week.